Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sharon. I will be leading you through some quick housekeeping items for this Ask the Expert session and then handing off to our experts. This is Ask the Expert for Digital Breakout 133. This is a continuation of the conversation, how to activate digital selling from raw data to insights. We'll quickly go over how to engage with our experts before turning it over. So quickly, to chat with our experts, please put your questions in the chat and we will push those out to everyone as they go through our moderation process. You can vote for your favorite questions by using the thumbs up sign. That will let our experts know that many of you have that same question. We will answer both via chat and over voice. And we will also add some resources and additional information throughout the session so that you can continue to learn more about this topic. This session is being recorded and we do ask that you do not spam our experts. We are answering as quickly as we can. We also ask that you not post inappropriate comments in the chat. Lastly, we ask that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct, which is posted in the chat and here on the screen right now. We remind you that we are, as I said, recording this session. Please do not photograph or video the session on your side. And with that, I will hand it over to our experts to introduce themselves. Luca, would you like to begin?
Yeah. Hi everyone. First of all, my name is Luca Macchetti and I'm part of the Dynamics 365 product marketing team.
Hi everyone, Ido Vadia here. I'm a global specialist for Dynamics 365 and I'm based in Amsterdam and I'm happy to be on the call this morning, my time, to answer any questions you have.
Good morning everybody, my name is Mark Robertson. I'm a global specialist on the Microsoft Business Applications platform as well and based out of the UK and very happy to take on your questions today.
So basically, hopefully you can see my screen. So this is one of the slides that we presented during the session, and the reason why I like this slide is because it gives a sort of a complete understanding of how we're what is the product truth beneath the way that Dynamics 365 can model the activate digital selling scenario, and it's from these slides is a little bit clear, hopefully, or at least this is my hope, how the various pieces that brings to life this idea, this concept of activate digital selling, they work together in a hopefully seamless way. So you like very quickly you have everything from customer insights to Dynamics 365 marketing and sales insights, commerce, e-commerce, commerce headquarters, as well as fraud protection. And clearly, Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Apps, they are in a sense like the glue that gives to this to activate digital selling the ability of being together as a again in a seamless way. And so let me pause for a moment just to understand if there are questions.
Luca, maybe a comment from my side.
Yep.
So I really liked how you connected all the story together, because actually you went through several personas within the end-to-end flow, and you were able to connect not only, let's say, the sales and marketing side of the house, but also the commerce or the e-commerce side of the house. So to be able to show that web shop experience and how it all connects together with customer insights. And from my side, I have this conversation almost every day with the customers that we're talking to, because customers are still facing sometimes, let's say, quite siloed experiences. And I'm wondering if that's also in the people attending this Q&A, if you guys are seeing that on your side as well, and whether having these connected experience, all connected to this one single 360 view of the customer, being the customer insights, which is then feeding each and every one of the applications, if that is something that also we're seeing from your side as well. I talk a lot, for example, to manufacturing customers, where in fact, not only, so you started to look at with the B2C, but I was actually, a lot about this stuff is about B2B from the manufacturing customer's perspective.
Yep.
And very often they're seeking for ways, they say, data is the new oil, etc. There's some data being born in multiple sources, but not actually be able to harness the data for their business process. So the idea of democratizing the customer insight, even beyond that 360 view, to actually provide those next best actions to the sales rep, to the marketing rep, to boost the sales effectiveness, is something that really, really resonates. And one of the things that really usually resonates is how the LinkedIn sort of economic graph, if you will, is helping drive that activity for sales and marketing perspective as well. So that's a lot of interesting conversations around that with my customers, at least.
Looks like you guys have a couple of questions if you want to work on answering those.
Let me stop sharing my screen. Maybe it's a little bit easier to get the questions.
I was curious around the one that came from Ali's around the most important data to analyze when it comes to digital selling. I thought that was it's a great question, first and foremost, because it's certainly top of mind right now. And I think when we talk about activating digital selling, there are a multitude of different things that you could look to measure. And what we're tending to find at the moment is that customers are asking lots of different questions related to what's important and why, based on the type of impact it can have on, one, the depth of the relationship that you have with your prospects or the customers that you're working with, but also the velocity that Luca talked about in his session too. So some of the key metrics that we would tend to look at would be around, for example, the relationship analytics that we can generate related to interaction signals. So that could be the amount of communication that's happening across the phone, email, activities, appointments, but also taking signals from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example, things like email communications or decision makers that may have departed from an organization, but also the way in which we would take something like smart link views into that. So when we look at the data that we generate in the sales world, that's always a really important aspect. We take all of those signals, we can enrich those with other insights as well that come from across the platform that Luca was referencing before. I think some of the other things as well is when it comes to digital selling, we cannot ignore the e-commerce data that can be generated around people that have obviously accessed the site, have started to generate baskets, basket drops, etc. So those things will come up naturally. And I haven't even talked about marketing yet. So you've got all of the potential marketing measures that you'd be looking for that give you a sense of the strength of the marketing that you're generating and the way in which you're driving people towards your site. So we're talking about not just things like impressions, but we're talking about the ability of being able to track people's time on the site, their engagement with you. So there are so many different measures. I think it would be a good one that we could probably take offline if you'd like to find us. You can certainly connect me on LinkedIn and I can walk you through lots of things that we're doing at the moment that target people around and the types of KPIs or at least leading indicators that can be used for analysing digital selling impact. There was a second question there as well from Tamoya that I hadn't had a chance to read. I'm not sure if Luca or Ido, you had a chance to have a review of that. So just having a look at one of the questions that came across with regards to the types of stories that we have related to customers that have achieved the digital selling ecosystem. Wonder, Luca, would you be able to cover that, or would you like me to take that one as well?
Yeah, well, I was honestly, Mark, I was thinking, what's the best if I have an example that fits so one that really, at least from my perspective, is a great example of how we can tell this unique story that spans through customer insights, marketing, sales insights, is what Satish Thomas presented. Well, actually, has been presenting over the last 6 months, and it's the story around Chipotle. And I think this is a great story, and I'm happy to share more details offline around how Chipotle, was a Mexican American chain of restaurants, that has been able to, well, first of all, thanks to customer insights, to understand, to create this unique representation of customer information, this 360-degree view of customer information, and then like using that information, they have been able to, first of all, to create very specific segments, especially that were especially useful for Chipotle, because they were able, through these segments, to really tackle the one of the biggest problems that they have, which is the brand loyalty. So they were able to enrich customer information thanks to customer insights, and being able to create these segments that were very useful, that Chipotle used to really tackle and address the issue of brand loyalty. And the way they do that, is basically they were able to seamlessly transfer this information, these segments, from customer insights to Dynamics 365 marketing. So they were able, they had the chance to enable marketing organization at Chipotle, like using those informations and create customer journeys around these segments that were able to understand what was the best channel, so the right channel at the right time for that segment, and at the end of the customer journey, so at the end of this of this lead creation process, again, they were able, thanks to the integration between Dynamics 365 marketing and sales, to really break the silos between marketing and sales, and to seamlessly push notification out to the sellers for them to be able to follow up with customers. So I think it's a super nice story, like the Chipotle story, and I'm more than happy to share more details offline. I don't know, Mark, if you have another example.
Well, I was just actually going to build upon what you were saying there. I think when we talk about that Chipotle scenario, and of course, they had a view on who they thought their customers were, didn't they? And when we looked at the situation that they were in, they had a situation where they had quite a bit of duplication going on. which they were able to try and review very, very carefully through what they did using the map, match, merge process within customer insights. And I think the other thing that I absolutely love about their story is that they were looking beyond the signals that they already captured today and started to focus in on what we do with our Microsoft Graph. So the ability to look at potential interests and brand affinities and have that infused against these unified profiles that are being created for customers to be able to say, well, here's what these customers may be interested, but it also gave this bigger picture of who else could be in the market for Chipotle around how they then put their marketing spend together. So that was a story that I think is great. Again, as you say, it's about threading together this customer journey that takes the customer through both walking into the outlet itself, but also being able to make orders from an e-commerce point of view too. So really powerful. I think one of the other things that came to mind around putting together that ecosystem and using our platform, and it's a story that's been told in the past, is the Tivoli Gardens one too. I think you mentioned the piece around loyalty. That was a massive thing for them. They talked about always like never before. And this theme for them was around trying to make the experience so great, not just in the park, but outside the park too, that people wanted to come back and engage with them. So they actually put the Dynamics 365 platform to task to try and help support not only their understanding of their existing customer base, but to try and look at things like churn analysis to be able to say, based on these customers' behavior, how likely are they to come back or to buy the yearly subscription, of course, which is they're trying to drive, so that these people turn up like in a membership program. So a new way of generating revenue for one of the world's oldest theme parks. So again, really powerful story, and those links can be shared for you to look at as well, Tamoya.
Yeah, Mark, thanks. I'll share the links to these stories. I think also the story I like a lot, and I'm talking a lot to consumer products companies, and one of the interesting stories there, I think, is around Marston's. So Marston's owns about 1,500 pubs in the UK, and they are, let's say, leveraging customer insights to provide a really specific and personalized experience to their customer. So what I'll do is I will also share the details of this story alongside Tivoli and Chipotle that was shared earlier in the chat.
So while we wait for more questions, I just wanted to add a couple of things to what Marley's asked in terms of what is the most important data to analyze when it comes to digital selling. I would love to provide a different perspectives here. And the different perspective, let me share my screen one more time, is more on the fact that we're really able to extract value from data. And so in the past, maybe we had a lot of data to we were able to collect a lot of data, but at the end of the day, it was just, like a lot of information, and has not always been easy to extract value from this information, create actionable insights out of this data. And what you see here is the customer journey that we presented in the session, right? It's a super straightforward customer journey. The main idea is that clearly there is this problem to solve here, but at the end of the day, what we're showing here is a super simple and straightforward customer journey. We're a company, they need to get this unique representation of customer information. And then with this representation of customer information, they have to enable the marketing organization and then we need to understand how to enable sales, how to break silos between marketing and sales, and so on and so forth. What I want to show you here is that if we look at each different stage here, and we will not go through each different each stage, but I would love to show you that if we look at each stage here, we will always find specific moments where we are able, thanks to Dynamics 365, to extract actionable insights out of the data that was not like possible like a couple of years ago and even 6 months ago. So if we look at, for example, this section here, right, the discover insights and take actions. So what we're showing here is basically we're trying the challenge we're trying to solve here is that we need as a like Contoso, they need to create this unique representation of customer information, and at some point they're able to do that, right? They were able to ingest data coming from different data sources. So at some point everyone will be happy. They will have this 360-degree view of customer information. But then what can they, what is the value that they can extract out of this information? Well, first of all, they can derive deeper insights with, for example, they can create this subscription churn prediction to understand if who are the customers or potential customers that are more at risk of churning. And thanks to this information, they can create specific segments, and they can build these segments, and they can understand what are the similarities between segments, just to make sure that they are very precise when it comes to creating segments. So we're enriching customer information with the objective of being very super precise and derive actionable insights. And then they can they can export this richness of information to LiveRamp, to LinkedIn ads, to Facebook ads, to Dynamics 365 marketing, so they can enable more processes, different organizations, so they can really derive and extract value out of this richness of information. But this is not the end of the story, because then they can, marketing organization, they can use the segments generated in customer insights, right? And again, the point here is that, yes, thanks to Dynamics 365 marketing, marketeers, they have this super nice visual tool, and with this visual tool, they can create a customer journey, right? But what I think it's super interesting here is that in this process, they can slice and dice the information and can extract even more value from customer information. For example, using A/B testing. So what we're saying here is that, yes, we have, as marketeers, we're creating this customer journey. But guess what? If we select a specific channel, for example, email as a channel, we can then perform even more testing, the A/B testing, to maximize the effectiveness of the email. So thanks to Dynamics 365 marketing, we can analyze what is the result of the A/B testing to be even more precise when we communicate to customers. And we can make a lot of examples on how, thanks to Dynamics 365, we can extract even more value from data. And the last one I'm gonna provide is this one, right? The Dynamics 365 customer voice is a perfect example, right? So again, with Dynamics 365 marketing, we can have events, digital events, as one of the channels through which the marketeers can communicate, right? And at the end of this process, at the end of for example, a digital event, we're able to send, as part of the customer journey, to send surveys with Dynamics 365 customer voice, so we can automatically analyze the answers to these surveys and generate leads, again, automatically out of this, as a result of this analysis of these answers, right? So we can create leads in an automatic way based on the survey responses. So again, all of this analysis that we were able to do in an automatic way from data, I think this is a great example of how we can really enable Activate digital selling scenario by really extracting the right value from data. And again, we can make a lot of examples that will show us how we can really extract value and actionable insights from data. So let me stop for a moment. If there are any questions here?
So there were no further questions on it, but Luca, I do think you're absolutely right there, aren't you? In many cases, you'll be looking at the sorts of dark data that might exist or the insights that can be uncovered that organizations quite often don't know. We've been working with one here in the UK where they actually had an existing churn model that they thought was pretty proficient. And then we did some blind testing with ours and had a 25% performance uplift on our predictions. And you just get a sense of the power of what we're doing with the platform and the way in which we're gearing not only what we're doing just within the standard applications itself, but how we're infusing intelligence into the platform to help our customers. Now, I'm really excited when I get to talk about these different scenarios around not just digital selling, but really that end-to-end customer experience story that we have right now as well.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And again, I think it's amazing how we're able to have a lot of specific moments in this Activate digital selling scenario where we are able for the first time to really extract value from insights. And I can think, for example, like when it comes to conversation intelligence. So Sales Insights conversation intelligence is a perfect example on how we can extract value. For example, how we can the way we can generate insights and learn from the process. So what did we learn? How we can get better the next time? And especially as a sales manager, I can understand how I can coach my team to improve next time, thanks to all of the information that we gather throughout the customer journey process. And again, this conversation intelligence is another great example of the way we can generate actionable insights in a pretty seamless way. So I guess we're at time. So thank you very much for the participation, and what you see here in this slide is basically there's a ton of interesting content and very specific content that you can take a look at when it comes to learning, connecting, and exploring new and more information around the Activate digital selling scenario. And thank you very much to Ido and Mark for your help, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.